sure some of you professionals out there are looking at this and thinking, oh dear God, what is he doing?
We are Shelby and Woody. We met in 2015 and immediately discovered our shared passion for travel and adventure. We've cruised the Bahamas, rode a train through Alaska, and even got engaged in Hawaii. After stumbling upon a van life video on YouTube, we loved the idea but considered it a pipe dream. 4x4 Sprinter van, and unfortunately it's sold. Well, as you can see, with a lot of hard work and perseverance, that pipe dream is becoming a reality.
What came today?
Please consider subscribing so you can follow along on our journey while we build out a van, travel the world, and Encompass Adventure. Hello.
Hi.
Good evening. Today's video is brought to you on the roof of our van. Well, part of it at least. We are going to be wiring for the solar. We drilled a hole in the van, the roof. You'd think we'd get used to it by now. Actually, I'm pretty used to it by now.
Hey, missed opportunity.
What?
Today's video is brought to you by Rooftop Productions. I don't know.
Would you like to explain to the lovely viewers what you're doing right now?
I'm trying to put these grommets into the holes that I drilled for our lovely cables.
And grommets, they're just these like rubber things to protect the wire from the hole. Also, 2 houses down, they're doing garage Zumba. Look at all the cars. Oh wait, can you even see them? Which is awesome. Good for them. It's just kind of funny to walk by and see all these ladies in there bouncing around. It's really awesome. Maybe I should just, yeah, they're having a great time. Maybe we should join them.
So now that we have our holes and the grommets, we are feeding our solar cable, which comes with an MC4 connector that is off right now. I had to take it off so I could fit it through the hole. Through the roof. That's the negative. This is the positive. And then this little contraption.
Hey, have you ever seen Bruce Almighty?
No.
You know, you haven't seen it?
No.
Well, there's this part where he donates blood. Oh, well, the part where he donates blood and she's asking him what type of blood type he is, and he says something like, IB positive. IB positive, you ain't sticking me with no needle? Yeah? No?
No.
Okay. Proceed.
So, got these fed through. This nifty little tool will seal down to the roof of the van and prevent any leaks. And put this curved piece facing the front of the van so that any of these holes are at the back, so, you know, wind, etc. will blow the water past it. And then these connections, oops, I have to put the caps on first before I put everything through. No, I'm good. So these connections, as you screw them down, will tighten and sink this rubber black seal around the cabling or the wiring, so you get a nice seal.
So that's kind of just like a case housing for the wires, so you don't just have 2 random wires popping out of the top of the van?
Correct. And it gives you a good weather seal as well. So, like I mentioned, I had to remove the MC4 connectors from the wire so that I could feed it through these holes, and now I'm just reattaching them. They're pretty straightforward. However, when I reattached them earlier in the garage, I noticed that I had put 2 male ends on the red cable and 2 female ends on the black cable, which would be really hard to connect things. So you need to make sure that you have the right ends. And if I'm looking at the solar panels, you have on the solar panel you have a black female and a red male. So red female, black male up top.
Let's see. Again, it's probably windy. I feel a slight breeze, and that slight breeze probably sounds awful on camera, and I am so sorry. I know I say this almost every video, but we're working outside and it's windy and there's not much we can do. Probably except for maybe get a muffler for a microphone. But in the meantime, I'm sorry. You were saying?
I'm putting these really close to this connector because I don't need a lot of cabling right here, because the solar panels have their own cabling and they'll be sitting right back here anyway, so they'll just plug in right here. Boom. Okay, hold on.
Okay, good night.
Bye.
So now we're putting a layer of butyl tape around the casing of this cord holder, this cord housing for the solar. Let's see. Right here. And then we're gonna put it back right there, and then we're going to put the silicone around it, right?
Layer of silicone.
Silicone, and then we're gonna put this self-leveling sealant. It's basically the same concept as our Max Air fan over there, except there's no screws.
So next, I'm going to put this Sikaflex self-leveling sealant over this solar cap just as an extra layer of security. I don't want it to leak. It's also really bright up here. Sure, some of you professionals out there are looking at this and thinking, oh dear God, what is he doing? But this stuff is really thin and melty. I don't know the right term for it, but essentially I'm just trying to cover all the silicone, and then what this does is it kind of flattens out and creates a nice little seal. I think it's so thin because it's self-leveling, but I could be wrong, I'm not a scientist. Looks like a kindergarten painting. So instead of buying the expensive custom-made brackets for these Vantech roof rails, we decided, and because we didn't want to wait forever on the shipping, we decided to make some out of these little washers.
Torque washers.
Torque washers that are meant for a bolt that's got that little square notch in the head. You can see that it fits very nicely in there. It won't turn one way or the other. I did have to grind off the sides of these washers just a little bit to make them fit.
So it's a little bit hard to tell, but this is what it looked like before. You can see the top and bottom are a little bit rounded, and then he just barely used the angle grinder to flatten out that curve a little bit to make it a little bit flatter, and then it'll slide right into the Vantech roof rails.
And then I painted them with a powder coat paint just so that they didn't rust or anything go wrong with them. So really nice. And then we have these bolts that have the little like silicone or rubber gasket inside of them to prevent them from coming loose. And the reason we had to come up with our own way is I bought these brackets which are supposed to fit. However, they slide in really nicely until you get to the little screw that holds the Vantech railing in. Did some research, and that's how the Vantech is supposed to go in, which is why they sell their custom ones, so I just kind of mimicked it. Bought a whole bag, so if anybody wants these, let me know. Okay, I'm at the Home Depot for the third time today, trying to find the right pieces to mount these solar panels. So I had to pick up a few extras, and I wanted to show you where I found the washers. They're down here kind of by the lag screws, and they're called torque washers.
So I'm pretty sure we should just start a new series on Woody hurting himself.
Hey, we're out of Band-Aids.
Gee, I wonder why. You're so cute. I love you so much.
No, you don't.
You're just a bull in a china shop. You're an accident waiting to happen. What did you do this time? Did you cut your finger again?
My knuckle, I punched the edge of the floor on accident.
Doing what?
This is gonna work, but this is the only Band-Aid we've got. Pulling wire through.
Is that a waterproof Band-Aid? Do you need help? Aw, babe. I love you just the way you are. All right, so we have 2 solar panels ready to be put up there. And we've been testing them back and forth. Woody's been putting these brackets on. What are you using?
These are the Renogy tilt brackets that I bought from Home Depot, I think. Couldn't find them on Amazon. And I really like them. But they are not built for these exact solar panels. So, and the distance of our van. So I've had to drill some of my own holes, which is going fine. I did also cut these. Not very straight like you can tell, a little wavy, but that worked just fine because I didn't want them sticking out past the edge of the solar panel once it's mounted. So I've drilled and mounted the rest of them. These are the last 2 holes. And that's what I've been doing it.
What size of drill bit is that?
Oh, I don't even know. It's a little too small. It's 7/32. It's just a little too small for the bolts that came with the mounting brackets, or sorry, the tilt brackets. But I just kind of bore it out a little bit using the same drill bit, so it works just fine.
So he's drilling a hole, and then he puts this on, and then we put one of the bolts up underneath through the hole, and then the washers and nuts on top.
I'm going to show you that process. And what I did for the first one is I mounted the brackets to the VanTech roof rails, and then went up and put the solar panels with their bracket on top of that and kind of marked where I need to go so we could figure out where to best center it. And then now I'm just setting each of them back the same distance from the edge on each side. So hopefully it all works. And I went ahead and put a piece of wood underneath here so that when I go through, I don't go through and accidentally hit the solar panel.
First the bolt, and then you put a washer on top. Put it up, under through the hole. That. And then you put another washer on top. And then a locking washer on top of that. And then a nut on top of that. And then you want to take your pliers and grip it underneath and then tighten it down with your socket wrench. You're not bleeding this time?
Nope.
All right. So he has this L bracket on here like this, and then you take another L bracket and it sits on top. So you can see it kind of makes like a U. And this is the part that's getting attached to the van, to the roof rails up there. And that's where we use those torque washers. And then it'll all come together. I think I've mentioned this before, but Woody is really bad with any kind of tape. So painter's tape, butyl tape, aluminum tape,
Silicone.
foil tape. Silicone's not a tape, but they probably have that. Vinyl tape, electric tape. And then you put another washer up top, or drop it on the ground.